Easy Patreon. So in this video, we're going to have a look at using noise within our productions. And this is more of a kind of sense of how to apply it or layer it in a manner that works with our production style. In some cases, using noise can be pretty difficult for some people. And for more typical applications, people use noise would be either ear candy moments or rises and drops and stuff like that. Whereas in this example, we use it to layer some of our elements just to kind of add some extra textures and dimension to some of these sounds. And in some cases, it also helps in the mixing stage as it allows some of these elements to kind of cut through in examples like smaller speakers, like laptop speakers or Bluetooth speakers and stuff like that. So we'll have a look at how I use Shaperbox to add noise to this loop that I made. And outside of that, I'll show you how to kind of use noise in the same type of manner if you don't have a plugin like Shaperbox, and you can still get the same or similar type of effect. Let's go. So in front of me is the loop that I've made on Ableton. Like I kind of said in the intro, I use some noise in different elements just so that it can kind of just add some more dimension to the track and just help it all glue together. We'll have a little quick listen to this track in its entirety, and then after that, we can kind of pick apart how the noise was applied and how we can just, enhance some of these elements within our tracks. Cool. So let's have a look at the first area where I applied some noise, and that was within my drums. So what we can just do, if I just solo my drums right now, and then we can just have a little listen to the drums by itself. So I'm gonna just quickly get rid of some of this noise, just bypass it so you can just hear the drums without it, and then we can just hear A and B between the two. So yeah, it's night and day when you can hear the drums with and without the sounds. So let's have a little look at Shaperbox, and then we can kind of just dissect what's going on here. So in front of me, this is Shaperbox, and when you kind of open it up, this is what it looks like initially with all its different effects. And then this is like the new noise effect that they added. And then I added noise into it. Let's have a little quick look here. So looking at noise from Shaperbox 2, I kind of just brought down the bandpass area to this kind of mid to top end, and the input within that band is triggering the noise from the plugin. I also have it so that the envelopes turn on, so that it follows the transients of my drums. So if I hit play, when I turn it off, it's just constant. So as it off, it's just constant, and I didn't want that. You could draw in shape if you wanted to. I mean, that doesn't sound too bad. It could work, but yeah. I wanted it to kind of follow the transients of the drums, and I wanted it to kind of just have a bit of rhythm. I shaped the attack, hold, and release just so that like it can follow the transients a bit better. And then that just gives it a bit more movement. These are all the different presets that you have, and there's loads. Rather than using one of the traditional sounds like white noise or any type of pink noise and stuff, I kind of wanted to use something which is a bit more organic. I mean, there's loads of noises to choose from. As you can see, but the presets really extensive, and they all kind of got their own textures. I mean, that could work. That's a pretty nice noise. If I was to use that, I'll probably use that in a slightly different drum pattern. But yeah, it's nice for adding textures. And you don't only have to just use one or the other. You could still just like add an envelope you can still like draw your own envelope with the envelope on and just create like more movement, additional movement to your noise. I mean, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. But yeah, you guys get the gist. So I'm kind of going to go back to Motorway. This was the kind of noise I kind of thought was better. So I kind of just like brought down the mix to around like 40%, and then I changed the band because I didn't want all the low end to kind of muddy up with the kick and stuff, and I took away some of the highs just so that like I can still allow for like the hi-hats and stuff like that to be untroubled by the noise, because you still got to remember that noise can be very invasive, and you still want it to just kind of complement your sounds rather than it just kind of like take over. So I also got some noise on my kick, and this is being used as a sense of, because I kind of wanted to simulate almost like a lo-fi or like a resampled kick. And you know, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I always try to make my drums feel that like it's realistic or that it's being resampled. And I'm the type of person that uses the same kick in most of my tracks. So this way, I'm just adding a bit more character to this kick, but without having to go over the top too much. Just using this layer, just a little bit of noise, just adds a little bit of character. It kind of helps it cut through on smaller speakers. And yeah, it's just adding a little bit of grit, a little bit of distortion, just making it feel like a lo-fi, like a resampled kick. I got like the envelope switch to turn on, similar to like, yeah, how the noise is on my drum bus. I kind of just like got like a high pass up to 410 and a low pass to like 7K, just to kind of just let certain frequencies be untroubled. We're using pink noise just because I didn't want to use white noise, which is too invasive, but some of the organic and other sounds just wasn't really what I wanted. I mean, yeah, this key rattle could work. And then yeah, I brought the mix down to like 52%. Let's have a listen with the rest. And then you also have these type of noises, which can kind of, again, also simulate like that more kind of lo-fi, more kind of analog feel. If I wanted to do like a lo-fi type beat, I would probably use one of these type of noises with my drums. And like some of these, they do sound very similar, but it's just adding, you know, when you get the balance right, it's just adding that little bit of warmth, that little bit of color to your sound. So the next element that I use some noise is the bass. The bass that I made is a pretty simple bass. I made the 808 just using wavetables, just a simple sine wave, with some just a simple sine wave. And then yeah, I just use this kind of complex wavetable just to add a bit more harmonics to it. And then I got my supercharger just to add some saturation, a bit of distortion, and a little bit of compression onto it. And then yeah, just a channel EQ just to kind of take away some of that top ends. And then yeah, at the end we got shaper box. So yeah, let's have a little listen to the bass by itself. So that's it with the noise, and we'll have a little listen to it without. So, I mean, the noise doesn't feel out of place with this 808. So when I was A and Bing it there, it's one of those kind of like subtle effects where you can notice it when you take it off, but when you have it on, it doesn't feel too, like, it doesn't stand out that much, but you know that, like, yeah, it's just adding that extra little bit of color. And like I kind of said, this 808 already is, I distorted it quite a bit, so this extra noise doesn't feel out of place. And me personally, I feel that like this noise is just adding just a little bit more depth to it, and it feels thin without it. And like with these, when it comes to like using noise, again, like with the kick, using noise on your bass, if there was a little bit less going on, the extra kind of noise layer on the bass also kind of almost makes you feel that like you don't need to add a melody. This can kind of just give you just the color that you needed, just so that yeah, that bass can kind of cut through and you're filling up certain frequencies that your bass might not be filling out. So the next element that I added noise onto was this ARP, which kind of used my melody. And this noise is definitely more noticeable within the track. So what I did with this one, which is different to the other ones, is that I did draw an envelope with the envelope follower triggered on. And this kind of just helped add even more groove and even more rhythm to the noise applied on this ARP. I used a more organic kind of sound for this one. And yeah, pretty similar. I just used my mid band to kind of trigger the sound, and then yeah, I got my low pass. I got my high pass at 120 hertz and everything. And then yeah, this ARP was just kind of made just using like an arpeggiator. I just made the sound using wavetables. I just got a little filter on there, and then yeah, just shaper box. So let's have a look at how you can use the same technique using noise within your productions if you don't have a plugin like Shaper Box. So I'm just going to try and find an element we can add the noise to. So what we're going to do, we're going to use our drums to kind of trigger this noise. And there's a couple ways you can kind of go about it. We've got some audio in, and the first thing we're going to do is just get an operator in, and we're going to use that to kind of just create some white noise. So if I get this operator up, and then just change this to noise, create a MIDI clip, anywhere will do, and just extend that. Bring that down just so that it's not too loud. Just need to mute that, solo that as well. Okay, so we've got some noise. So now the next step is to kind of get this noise to be triggered by our drums. So there's a couple ways you can, there's another couple ways you can kind of do this. You can use a compressor, but in this case, we're going to use a gate. So we've got a gate now, but now we need to get it to be triggered by our drums. So if I open up this little section here, and then I'll activate the sidechain. I'm going to tell it to listen to this drum group. Drums. Spelt like an idiot. And then we'll go back to our operator. Tell it to listen to our drums. So now the gate is listening to our drum bus. And then we can start just tweaking the threshold. So I'm going to bring this threshold down just a touch. I could use this EQ where I can say that I want it to listen to a certain frequency band so that, for an example, it's not just being triggered just by our kick. So bring this down a bit. Bring it up so it's not being fully triggered by the kick. So let's have a little quick listen with this with everything else. Not that bad. Just make sure that this one's turned off. Yep. So from this point, we can start adding some more character to our noise, and we can add another kind of shaper or envelope follower. So I might just add duck to this. Almost like how I kind of had it set up on my melody. That sounds nice. Some nice little groove going on there now. Let's add some delay. I'm just going to quick tweak this just so, but yeah, it sounds a little bit better. That sounds pretty cool. That sounds pretty cool. Just add a little bit of color, bit of saturation. Cool. So there we go. So that's one way of applying noise so that you can follow your drums just by using this gate. And yeah, obviously we use the operator to do this. Let's kind of give it a go using a sampler, just using like a more organic sound. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap this over. Cool. That will do. Just duplicate that. Get rid of operator. And turn this into a sampler. Cool. So we listen to that with the drums. Just have a quick tweak this just so that we can find that sweet spot. That sounds pretty cool. It's a bit subtle, but I do like that. I kind of feel like something like that will work better isolated. Let's get rid of this. Cool. That sounds pretty cool. I guess I would just, using a more organic noise like that, you would want something which kind of just loops up a bit nicer. Maybe I would just kind of just chop that up or just create a little loop within the sample. Cool. So hopefully that was useful to you guys. Give it a go. There's other plugins like Shaperbox too, where you can kind of just just start adding noise and using like an envelope follower and stuff like that. If not, use a gate and try different types of noises. If you've got a field recorder, use your phone, anything, just record some weird kind of noises, layer it up with your drums, your bass, your melodies, and just start adding texture to your music, start adding some organic type of elements, and you'll be surprised what you come up with. If you use this technique within your productions, send it my way if you want any feedback. I would love to hear what you guys are working on. Otherwise, till next time.